Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, I'm starting off by making a spread for my archive journal, and it's about the anime I just finished, which is season 2 of Kaiju No. 8. If you didn't see my videos from last summer, then you wouldn't know, but I loved season 1 of Kaiju No. 8. I'd always wanted to read the manga series, but as I've said before, I don't really get into too much shonen. I've said before that they're so long usually, but I feel like Kaiju No. 8 is the exception. I think there's only 16 volumes, and I don't know if that has something to do with like why the anime is so short, but this season was only 11 episodes long. I think season 1 was only 12, and then I guess there was like a little special, Hoshina's Day Off, but I'm just like, 11 episodes? That's nothing. That's why I was saying that I was so surprised that Let's Go Karaoke was 5 episodes when it's just 1 volume of a manga. But just in case you don't know what Kaiju No. 8 is, it's about this man named Hibino Kafka. Kafka is very on the nose, you know, metamorphosis. He works as this cleaner, essentially. So kaiju are constantly invading Japan in this world, and when the defense force takes them out, of course their bodies are left and someone's got to clean them up. And so that's what Kafka does. But one day, and this is still unexplained and I'm still curious about it, this little alien-like thing, I guess it's a kaiju itself, it just like kind of crawls into his mouth. I think it was his mouth. And now he too can turn into a kaiju. And in this world, the really powerful kaiju are given numbers, and he is Kaiju No. 8. But Kafka has always wanted to be a defense force member. He has tried to get in so many times. And in season 1, he finally does make it through. But because of that, you know, he's a kaiju, and he can't let anyone know that because literally their job, the defense force's job, is to get rid of kaiju. In season 1, the only person who knows is Ichikawa, Reno. They entered the defense force at the same time, and they're friends, and Reno really looks up to Kafka as a senpai. Also, speaking of Reno, does anyone remember, if you have seen that video where I talked about Kaiju No. 8 season 1, remember when I was like, there's something about Reno and Iharu, like, I don't know what it is, like, there's just something, my yaoi radar is never wrong. In season 2, there's so much material. That actually reminds me, after season 1, I looked up some stories on AO3 that I thought might be good, and then I never read them. I'm not in a fan fiction, like, mood ever. But anyway, let me talk about season 2. So other than it being short, it also introduced a new character I love, and I knew I would. I love Captain Narumi. He is so ridiculous, but he's also so cool. Also, I used to see so much fan art of him and Hoshina, and like, of course I didn't know who he was at the time, and I was like, who is this man going to be? Oh, I get it now, because they hate each other. That's another thing. Kaiju No. 8 is so funny. There are just unexpected scenes that like literally make me giggle out loud. Oh, speaking of one, whenever Hoshina comes to the, I don't know what it's called, the like main office, I don't know what it's called, but him and Narumi are like having a little standoff, and Narumi says something, and Hoshina's like, isn't it actually Mina that has that record? And he like falls flat on his back, and all of like Narumi's, you know, subordinates are like, Captain, why would you tell a lie that's so easily proven wrong? I literally think the show is so funny, but like the stakes, I guess I don't want to spoil anything. The stakes this season were way higher. Everything with like the new weapons, Reno, oh my gosh, that episode, oh my gosh. Kaiju No. 9 is still like disgusting and terrifying. Like he's genuinely so scary. He's like, I just feel like he's so powerful because like what his abilities are. When the character that got, oh my gosh, that was so sad. Not sad for me, but sad for like the other character that they, yeah. All the women in this story, so cool. Kikoro, so cool. Mina, so cool. All of them. The women literally being the strongest characters. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Male mangakas. See how easily it can be done. Maybe the author of Kaiju No. 8, maybe he should give like a little conference to talk to all the other ones. The way season 2 ended though, scary. Crazy cliffhanger also, but like I kind of get it. It's just like, it feels like it ended right in the middle of the action. But it's actually just so scary because I'm like, what are they going to do? There were just a lot of really scary kaiju. Like, I'm scared for my family. What can I say? Who are my favorite characters this season other than Narumi? Probably Kikoru. Like, she was so cool this season. Also, Hoshina teaching Kafka to fight. Oh, what was that thing? If you have seen this season, what was that thing when they went to the shrine? What was that thing? I don't know. Maybe I'll find out in season 3. I'm guessing season 3 is probably going to be the last season then. And also I hope it's more than 11 to 12 episodes. I hope it's very drawn out. But maybe this is how the manga goes. I'm not sure. As I always say, I haven't read the manga, so I don't know. Maybe the anime is doing a perfect adaptation of it. Maybe it's just really fast paced. But regardless, I recommend watching Kaiju No. 8. Like, I think it's fun. I feel like I don't really see people talk about it that much, but I think it's fun. The next spread I'm making is for my reading journal, and it's my October reading log. I read so much more than I planned to, and also I think I read literally everything on my TBR this month. Crazy. So the first thing I read was 8th Time's the Charm, which I sort of talked about in another video, but it's about these two college students who have broken up 7 times, and you figure out why they have broken up 7 times. It's a very short manhwa, but the art is beautiful. I really enjoyed it. And after that, I read Be Filled with Twilight Volume 1, which I also talked about in that same video. It's a historical fantasy about a man who's trying to figure out who murdered his father with the help of his old trainer who he has feelings for. After that, I read volumes 1 and 2 of Blood Night Market. I was planning on reading volume 3, but I just didn't get around to it. It's such a confusing series. I'm honestly not sure I could tell you about it quickly enough, but it's a world where like humans and vampires coexist. And the main character works in the Blood Night Market, which is where vampires can go get blood, and he kind of keeps things regulated. But he gets a new partner at work, and this new partner is a vampire, and it's like, what is he up to? And what he's up to is he's trying to find this like blood source that's called ambrosia, and it's supposed to be like the best blood in the world, but it is just so strange, everything that happens. It's a little confusing, honestly. And also, it's not a BL, it's kind of more of like a bromance, I would say. Also, there's a talking mouse, and all the vampires have powers, which I think is probably the coolest part of the series. Like, I like that the vampires have powers outside of just like regular vampire powers. After that, I read Garnet in the Rough Volume 1, which I talked about before. And then after that, I read Over the Garden Wall, Sisters of Benevolent Charity. I didn't know until recently. I saw it at my library, or like online on Libby. But Over the Garden Wall has these cute little graphic novels. Like everyone else, I love Over the Garden Wall, and I just love the idea that there was so much more to their story that we didn't even see. Like so many adventures that Wirt and Greg and Beatrice got up to. I really liked it, and also I really liked the art style. After that, I reread volume 1 of Goku Rakugai, and then read volumes 2 through 4, which I talked about in another video. Then I read a one-shot. It was really short. It was called It's Only the Beginning. It was about these 2 high school students, and this one boy was teaching the other one how to cook. It was very wholesome. I actually wish it was a whole manga. Like, I feel like it would be really good. I should look to see if that author has anything else that I want to read. Then I read Star and Hedgehog, which I talked about before. After that, I read Countdown to Yes, which I loved, but I also have talked about that before. Then I read To the End with You, volumes 1 and 2, which I talked about in my last video. And then I read such a cute children's graphic novel. It was called Welcome to the Forest, The Harvest Party. I know that's so random, but the art was so beautiful. I saw it on Hoopla and I was like, you know what? It's festive. Let me read it. The art was so beautiful. I just love children's stories, honestly. They're so wholesome. They're so cute. It's basically about these little monsters that live in a forest, and they were throwing a Halloween party. And then after that, I read the manhwa Love at First Fright, which I talked about in my last video. And I also read Sleeping on Paper Boats, which I talked about in my last video. I feel like typically I don't talk about everything I read in a month, but I kind of did this time. The last thing that I really read, and it's not that I read them all at the end of the month, I read them throughout the month, but I thought it would make more sense if I spoke about them all together. I read 3 books in a series called Shady Hollow. So these books are a cozy mystery series. I've mentioned them before that I wanted to read them, and they follow around little woodland creatures. So the main character, her name is Vera Vixen. She is in fact a fox, and she's a reporter for the local newspaper, and she finds herself in all these situations having to solve all of these murders. Like, yes, murders in the forest. Can you believe it? I read them mostly because my best friend was reading them, and you know, I want to encourage and foster a love of reading in a grown woman. They were nice to listen to passively, but they were just so predictable, which was a little sad to me. Like, maybe that just comes with the genre because it's like a cozy mystery. You don't want to do too much sleuthing, but I don't know. For me personally, I want to do a little bit more sleuthing. I hated that it was just so obvious. Like, it was just like all the clues fell into place, and it made it almost seem juvenile because of that. If this was a series for children, then I think it would be completely excusable and understandable. Of course, you don't want kids having to work too hard, but honestly, an episode of Scooby-Doo is harder to predict harder to predict the culprit than these books. And these are for adults. But the world that the 2 authors have crafted is just so interesting and like lively. I love the thought of all the different places in the books and all the different woodland creatures just up to no good, apparently. There's also a couple of novellas. There's a Halloween themed one called Phantom Pond that I didn't get to read that I wish I could have had time to read. I can't say I recommend the books at all, but I don't know, maybe you're the person for them. But that is everything I read in October. I feel like I had a really successful reading month, and I love that I was able to read a lot of things that had Halloween and just like general autumnal vibes. The last spread that I'm making in today's video is also for my reading journal. I read a blmanga called Shoot Juliet Down, Volume 1. It's about 2 hosts who work at the same club. So the main character, Akatsuki, is a newbie, but he's already worked his way up to being number 2 in sales. And then his rival, Juri, who they also call Juliet, is number 1. So he's like, you know, the HBIC. But he has this kind of like icy, calm vibe. Honestly, his like looks are kind of icy as well. But he has this like vibe that makes the main character curious about him. So he decides to get closer to Juri because he's determined to take him down. Because like he wants to be number 1. He wants to be the best in sales. But as he gets to know Juri better, their relationship takes a completely different turn because Akatsuki is like, hypnotized, if you know what I mean. Like, he really likes being with him. But Juri has a lot of secrets, and I'm sure those will be revealed in volume 2. And that is essentially what the manga is about. These two people having this like magnetic pull to one another, and I'm assuming once volume 2 wraps up, how they end up together. The thing that I loved the most about this manga, and like, I feel like it's been a while since I've felt this way, the chemistry between the main characters. Oh my god, it almost had the air of like a forbidden romance, which I love. Like, I think that's why the chemistry felt so like palpable. It's not that I haven't been reading things where like the main characters are clearly drawn to each other, but like this was just a different level. Like I said, it kind of had that feeling of like, ooh, we're not really supposed to be together, because nobody else in the club knows that they're like seeing each other like that at all. So it is kind of a forbidden romance a little bit. It really deals with like jealousy and lust and money, of course, and then also like I would say it's a more realistic depiction of like a host environment. Like, it's a little gritty, it's a little shady at times, definitely. And like the clients, of course, all their clients are women, and there's something very clearly wrong going on with one of the clients. I don't know what that is going to be. I think that will all be revealed in volume 2, but it's kind of a mystery. I'm very curious how one of the main characters got themselves like wrapped up the way that they did with this character, and why exactly she's behaving in the cruel way that she is. There was one page that I think kind of like hinted at it, and also I remember thinking to myself that like the translation was really good on that page. Maybe, hang on, I took a screenshot of it, so maybe I can read you some of the lines. Juri says, "Girls who come to host clubs want to get drunk on their sacrifice, on showing us how much they're willing to do for us, even if someday they start to blame us for it. It's up to us to accept that blame, accompany them to the depths of hell, and keep selling them the dream. That's our job." Isn't that such good dialogue? Like, I was like, ooh, the translation here, fantastic. Oh, there was also like a funny line that I thought was also a good translated line. It made me wonder what it said in the original Japanese, but Juri said something like, "My body counts in a different stratosphere." I saw a tweet the other day actually that was talking about how like human translators will always be needed, because you're always going to need that like little nuance, that little like injection of personality within translations that makes it feel more real. And I was like, absolutely. Because I'm sure there will be a day where artificial intelligence will be able to perfectly get every single thing right, every single little translation, but like you'll still miss that. Like, it will be correct, it'll be accurate, but it will be soulless. But anyway, I really enjoyed this manga. I actually kind of wish that I had waited and not read it, but this was actually an arc that I got to read. So thank you to NetGalley and Kodansha for allowing me to read this arc. But I almost kind of wish that I would have waited until it was officially published, and then volume 2 was also published. I think it comes out in January, it said at the back of the book. I think so, January 2026. But I kind of wish I would have read them back to back together, because I'm so curious about what is going on. What are all of these secrets that Juri has? Like, what is going on with him? Oh, also another thing I wanted to say about them having so much chemistry is that like the explicit scenes aren't even as explicit as most BLs are, but yet they were like so passionate. But Shoot Juliet Down Volume 1 came out on November 4th. It's well past November 4th when you're seeing this. And now that I'm done making all the spreads, we can go put all of them into my digital journals. Everyone, it has been so long since I've spoken to you, since I've spoken into my voice memo app. The first 2 spreads in this video, I think I recorded them like 2 weeks ago, maybe? No, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. And right now, as I'm speaking to you, it's currently November 9th. So I don't even know what day it is when you're watching this. And I have all of these spreads to show you. Like Winwin's birthday spread, I finally finished it. I wanted to talk about the fact that there's this cute little like felt, it looks like a little embroidery, like little baby chick. I found that on Canva, and I've been wanting to use it ever since I found it on Canva for Women's Birthday. But yeah, there are so many other spreads I made. My November TBR spread, my November calendar. I also wanted to tell you that I watched Sinners. I did not make a spread about it. Maybe I will, but probably I will not. I wanted to talk about Sinners. I'm not joking. I think it was actually the day I watched Sinners, maybe. I was literally in tears, and I was like, please, like I was begging the universe. I was like, please let me have some time to myself. And I kid you not, like a couple hours later, I found out that I would be having way more time than usual to myself. And I was like, thank you, whoever was listening, thank you. So I've been dedicating this whole weekend just trying to make spreads to catch up. And then last week, my mom was at home, so I couldn't do any recording like this. Like, it was just a whole thing. But anyway, I'm back. I'm here. Hopefully, my videos will be coming out regularly, weekly, for the rest of November anyway, for however much of November is left by the time you're watching this. And thank you so much to everyone who watched today's video. Everything I used in today's spreads will be in my Pinterest board. The link to that is in the description box, along with the links to all of my other social media accounts, as well as the links to all of the Google Drive folders for all of my journal deco kits. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them. I hope that your November is going well so far. I'm kind of scared about the drastic sudden temperature change we're about to have. It's about to get really cold for no reason. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.